Guys, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We really are. We've got another 2023 recruiting update. The four-star tight end Ty Lockwood, who was the first commit for Ohio State back last August, I believe, the first commit for 2023, has informed the program he is decommitting and subsequently flipping his commitment to the University of Alabama. And this is the latest update on him. So that is a situation that's happening. And guys, we're getting bad news left and right. We've got the Dejon Johnson decommitment. We had the Caleb Downs situation, which was like a double whammy for me, right? But guys, it is really bad right now. Let's talk about it. Let's get it all out. Number one, Ty Lockwood. Is it really that big of a loss for the class? If we're being honest, if we can hold on to Thurman, this is not a big loss. I will say, I don't think Ohio State's ever going to land two tight ends in one class. They've literally been trying for like 7 years to get two tight ends in one class, and they can't seem to do it. And this is a situation where apparently, Ty Lockwood wanted to be the disturbing thing about this whole Ty Lockwood thing, he's the number one commit. He's recruiting for the team. Alabama offers him less than a week ago, and now he's flipped. Like, it's all happened so quickly. I guess he didn't want to be part of a two tight end class. It seemed like when Thurman committed, he was embracing it, but he gets the Alabama offer. Nick Saban saying, you could be our tight end, whatever, and he ends up flipping. Is this really a big loss? If Ohio State can keep Thurman, it's not a big loss, but there have been rumors of Thurman, the other tight end commit, talking to Auburn, so we've got to deal with that. But you would think now that he's the only tight end in this class, they would be able to keep him. Of course, Ohio State is going to have to deal with significant negative recruiting because the tight end position has not, put up a ton of production. Ryan Day doesn't utilize it a ton in terms of overall targets. Although Jeremy Ruckert just went in the fourth round, we've seen Luke Farrell go in the fourth round and have a productive NFL career. So there have been Ohio State tight ends that have been successful. But obviously, there's a situation with Ty Lockwood where he wanted to be the number one tight end. Just surprised it happened this quickly. Normally, with a kid like Ty Lockwood, being the first commit, being committed this long, he was gung-ho, and about 3 days after he gets an Alabama offer, it's game over. Nothing against the kid, that's fine. Does it hurt Ohio State? I don't think so, unless they also lose Thurman, but this is obviously a situation, we're at this point, we are, in a complete nosedive. It is a total catastrophic situation for the Buckeyes in 2023 right now. How do we stop the bleeding? I think you got to get an elite pass rusher. Ohio State and Larry Johnson and the negative recruiting and the crazy stuff that's going on there with their negative recruiting, Larry Johnson about his age, the NIL stuff with many of these pass rushers, it's out of control. It's so tough. But you've got two guys, Mateo Uilongile, you've got Damon Wilson. Please get one of those guys. At this point, originally we came into the month of July. We're talking top three class. Alabama's going to have a better class, maybe Georgia, but we'll be top three. At this point, I'm not sure Ohio State will finish above Notre Dame. At this point, with the way Marcus Freeman is recruiting, you're splitting hairs. It's not like they're going to be way lower, but we've had about 12 straight negative things happen that have put, this class in the position they are in. They can get back on track. If you get an elite pass rusher, maybe you flip an offensive tackle, which they're trying to do. But right now, this is bad news on top of bad news. The Lockwood stuff, it's whatever. Dejon Johnson definitely hurt. That one significantly hurt. That's one of the top corners in the class. And that is, we don't want to speculate, but what I would say is that's got NIL written all over it. We all understand that. I talked yesterday about the whole NIL thing. The Ty Lockwood, that's not NIL. There's nothing. I don't want to go out and blame NIL, but this is a combination of negative recruiting against Larry Johnson. It's a combination of massive NIL deals. And the thing that's really important to note when it comes to NIL, With some of these players, Ohio State doesn't even have the chance to recruit because some of these kids are so NIL focused. If you're not offering money, you're not in the picture. And it's like 5-star players that are thinking like this. So not only does NIL make you lose commits, i.e. they decommit and go to a school that'll pay them, but you're also not even involved in many of these highly ranked kids, because if a kid's getting $1 million offer from Florida and he talks to you and he's like, listen, I'm getting offers, what can Ohio State do? And Ohio State does their whole thing where they say, come on campus, utilize Columbus, do that, on-campus entity, the kid's just going to hang up on him, and that's how these kids think, unfortunately, and that's why it's another major negative with the NIL. Ohio State's, with basically half the kids inside the top 100, Ohio State doesn't even have a chance to recruit them because they're not playing the NIL game like A&M, maybe Alabama. Guys, the Alabama thing with NIL, the Richard Young recruitment really makes me wonder. I'll say that about Alabama. We'll see. But we know the programs. I've been over it. The Tennessees, the Floridas, the Miamis. They don't even hide it. They love it. And at this point, they can blatantly cheat and nobody's going to do anything because so many programs are now cheating. You're not going to be able to punish every single program. And it's shrinking Ohio State's player pool. And now if Ohio State invests so much into a Dijon Johnson recruitment to where they're sending coaches, they're hosting him, they're spending time with him, and then Florida offers him money and he flips. This is the big problem right now, and there's no end in sight with the NCAA doing anything about it. You've got several players decommitting. The Ty Lockwood thing, that was more 2 tight ends. This is just compounding at this point. Right, if Ty Lockwood decommits out of the blue, it's whatever, nobody cares. But now that all this negative stuff has happened, the Caleb Downs thing, which I speculate if Ohio State's defensive back coaches weren't so inexperienced and didn't have a resume, if they actually had a resume, Caleb Downs, I think, is a Buckeye. It's just unfortunate Alabama catches Ohio State when they're rebuilding their entire defense, and you cannot fault Caleb Downs for going to Alabama, and I do not think that was an NIL situation. I just think he chose Alabama because he thinks he trusts their development right now more than Ohio State, and I can't blame him. Look at Ohio State's defense the past 2 years. That needs to be fixed, and I have a video detailing why I think Ohio State will at minimum have a top 5 defense with JTT, Jack Sawyer, Jordan Hancock, and many others. The 2021 recruiting class will bring Ohio State's defense back to being ultra elite, and that should only help with recruiting. But again, it's a situation where it's compounding. There needs to be some type of positive news, when it comes to I just say land an elite pass rusher and hopefully flip an offensive tackle. I don't even care about running backs at this point. You can get one in the portal. There's more pressing needs. It's offensive tackle and it's pass rush, in my opinion. Also the John Walker thing with UCF. I'll be honest, guys, I have no clue what happened with that recruitment. I am not going to comment on it. He went to UCF. Okay? That's a situation when you analyze that and you think it'd be a long shot, but it ends up happening. A top 100 recruit goes to UCF, and it's nothing against their program. It's just a weird situation. So that happens, and you're missing on players left and right, in part due to NIL, in part due to just inexperience. This is a number of issues that Ohio State has right now with the inexperienced defensive staff, that this is going to happen. You're going to go through struggles, and I think NIL is only compounding on it and making it worse, where if this was 2017, 2018, Ohio State's class would be, on the defensive side of the ball, significantly better than this. But the NIL only makes the situation worse, and it only makes the wounds deeper. So, the news, guys, Ty Lockwood decommitted. Everyone is, I'm getting trolled left and right now. It's not good. But the Ohio State class, let's not overreact. If they land an elite, we still have an elite class. We still do. And we've got Carnell Tate coming out saying he's not decommitting. We've got the receiver, Noah Rogers is one we're probably going to have to watch. Thurman is one we're probably going to have to watch. Noah Rogers with NC State. Thurman with Auburn, possibly. Anyone else on decommit? I don't think anyone else. I know Brandon Innes and Carnell Tate had a Miami thing where there was a rumor, but I think they put that to bed. So either way, right now, keep the commits, keep the same commits you have. And they did get Brock Glenn, who, like I said before, I think it's kind of a Jack Miller type situation where it's a depth piece. It's a needed depth piece, no doubt. It's always important to land a quarterback every cycle. In the event Devin Brown beats out Kyle McCord next year, McCord immediately transfers, and your backup quarterback becomes Brock Glenn at that point. So that's why you need Brock Glenn. And then, of course, the 2024 class, you've got Raiola. You've got an amazing start there. And the problem, we've already had the 2022 cycle ruined by NIL. The 2023 cycle is being ruined by NIL. What happens in the 2024 cycle at this point, it really is disturbing. And the other main problem, guys, the way it's setting up with Alabama, this is the real thing. We'll see what happens with A&M because it might be the same thing with A&M. But Alabama, the issue, if you look at the 2022 class, I would say, I don't know the exact number, but I would say Alabama probably landed about 8 more blue chip prospects than us. 2023 class, it's trending that way again. This is how a talent gap gets started. Okay, guys? When Ohio State could still have its, the 5th best class, the 6th best class, whatever. But if Alabama is constantly number 1 and Alabama per class is landing 7 to 8 more elite recruits than Ohio State over the course of 2, 3, 4 classes, that's a major talent gap. It doesn't look, because it's we're 4th, Alabama's 1st. It's close. But the way 2022 finished, the way 2023 is going, there's a little bit of a concern that this talent gap, it starts to become very hard to beat a team like Alabama if they have about 20 more blue chip prospects on their roster. They would just be so much more deep. The good thing with having Ryan Day is we are always going to have a chance because we always have an elite offense. But of course, we've seen with the bad defense what happens. You lose to Oregon at home. You get crushed by Michigan and totally embarrassed in the snow. And that was a very bad game where I had some personal things that people were just, it was not a good game. So we know we need to have an elite defense, but the good thing with Ryan Day, he's continued to land elite quarterbacks. Raiola in 2024 is probably the best of the bunch. Devin Brown, phenomenal. McCord, and then, right now with C.J. Stroud, the current Heisman favorite. So, guys, I'm trying to be optimistic about this. It's very tough right now. We're going through it. I think it's a combination of significant negative recruiting along with NIL. When you combine those two things together, we just have the perfect storm, which is causing this class to do a tailspin into the side of a mountain. That's what it's causing this class to do, unfortunately. And it is, if Notre Dame does sign a better class, that is a step back, I'll be honest. And by better class, I mean in terms of average. I don't care if they finish higher, in total points, but average, I think with Ty Lockwood decommitting, they might have a better average. I haven't checked yet, but I know Ohio State is down to 3rd or whatever. I think based on how this class is trending, Georgia is going to be ahead of, in the final rankings. Bama, Georgia will both be ahead. A&M will be ahead. I can't think of other teams off the top of my head right now. But then a team like Notre Dame. Ohio State may be finishing 5th or 6th, depending on if they suffer any more decommitments. And then it comes down to those pass rushers that you would love to land. Also, a few in-state guys, another linebacker you would like. So there's some other things Ohio State needs, certainly. But what I hope is going to happen is Ohio State is able to either flip some guys or get in on players we're currently not talking about. Because right now, in terms of our top targets outside of the pass rushers, the cupboard is pretty bare. For top 100 players we're in on. There's just not many of them right now, which is not a good sign because Ohio State's class is not filled out yet. So, and I think there's time. Normally, Ohio State likes having their class pretty much done, which, technically it kind of is, but there's still some major holes in it. We'll see if Ohio State can do something here in August. It's a tough situation. We got to get through it. It is what it is, guys. We will continue to follow the 2023 class and maybe get another 2024 commit. We will see. Did you guys see that Ohio State got a 2025 commit? I didn't even talk about this. I'm shocked they let that kid commit, the staff. The kid's from Georgia. He's going to be a national recruit. What are the chances that kid is a Buckeye? Like, there's no way. 2.5 years out. Is that kid going into his sophomore season, 2025? I think he is. So, Ohio State landed a top cornerback from Georgia in 2025. Everyone is unranked in 2025 because it's so early. But I think that kid will... I mean, I'd be shocked if they hung on to him for 2.5 years. Normally, in those situations where a kid wants to commit, Ohio State would be like, listen, man, there's no point. You're just going to decommit. You're from Georgia. If it was an in-state kid, it'd be different. But I'm shocked they let the kid commit. Maybe they think they can hold on to him. I don't know. But either way, guys, that's going to do it for this. I will say it tells you the kid's extremely talented. If you're from Georgia and you're allowed to commit to Ohio State as a 2025 recruit, that kid is minimum a top 50 talent. Because they will not let just anyone commit. So the kid's very talented, but I don't think they'll be able to hold on to him. Either way, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.